Part 66. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 652. It was already a few days later. Sugu was sitting on the cable pile at the pier of the governor's mansion, stroking Xiao Zai's short pink hair. Standing on the container next to her, U-47 reached out and touched Amethyst's head. When Amethyst exploded, she immediately jumped into the sea. The advantage of being a submarine was too great. Lafitte waved the big iron anchor, which had been completely turned into scrap metal without any historical background and had been moved from the warehouse to the dock. She spun it while shouting, "Blade storm." Lafitte put it down. "What if it hits the Admiral?" "It won't be hit. I can hold it very steadily." Lafitte grumbled, but the Admiral could still bargain. Now that Lexington, who was worried about Sugu's safety, spoke with an expressionless face, she immediately stopped. Her ability to observe words and emotions was 100%. Boom. The big iron anchor was put down casually, and a brick was immediately cracked. Lexington walked to Sugu's side, said nothing, and tried his best to look into the distance. Suguki, whose original purpose was just to play with the little Lolita, asked curiously, "Are you worried about CV-16? Don't worry, although York City is unreliable, it will take good care of CV-16. I'm not worried. The expression of reluctance makes me jealous when I see it. I think Gia is going to be sulky with you." Lexington smiled. "Gaga won't be angry. Hanging. Just give her a hug." Lexington winked mischievously. "How are the Admiral and Washington developing these days when I'm not working as a secretary ship?" Lexington had already taken back the power of the secretary ship, but Washington didn't care. He had known that one day. Only South Dakota complained, failed in her work, and was dismissed from her position as secretary ship. Then she was pushed to the ground by Washington and beaten severely. "We don't have anything," Sugu replied. "Men who say that are the worst. The bright sunshine is just right. York City and the neatly dressed CV-16 are not in the garrison, they are sailing on the sea. Main reason. In the hearts of York City. After continuous efforts, such as running to the office shamelessly every day, I finally got the opportunity to attack. In fact, the town government has no way to decide whether there is a mission or not. And to be precise, it was not considered an attack. This time it should be considered an expedition, providing fire support for a garrison. We already have intelligence in advance and there are not many powerful enemies, so there is no need to worry at all. To be honest, one person is enough, but it needs to be harder. It's just the Admiral's request that he must bring CV-16 to see what real combat is like. This is nothing. What is particularly gratifying is that the hero machine is all on my body, and the CV-16 is most likely Sea-Fang. First, I went to the garrison at my destination to report the situation. I suppressed the deep-sea ship girl once, and today I arranged to patrol a fairly large sea area. The need to request fire support shows that the battle is not that simple." He raised his head and saw that the sky was blue and cloudless. Looking to the side, there is a huge whale swimming by not far away, like a small island. Thanks to my good vision, I keenly saw the barnacles on the whale. I felt goosebumps and wanted to knock them off. There was a faint whistle from further away, and it was obvious that a ship was sailing. As an aircraft carrier, it only needs to send carrier-based aircraft to search for the enemy, and there is no need to wander on the sea. York City and CV-16 found an inhabited island and temporarily decided to investigate the nearby waters. At this time, standing on the huge reef, listening to the sound of waves hitting the reef, York City appeared behind him in a ship uniform with his hands raised high. Then she raised the flight deck in her hand, and carrier-based aircraft flew across the deck and flew into the sky. The carrier-based aircraft are the eyes, and the vast sea suddenly seems to have nothing to hide. In the words of Bizai, a woman without clothes. Half-heartedness is the prerogative of the aircraft carrier. After releasing the carrier-based aircraft, York City turned to look at the still newcomer CV-16. Of course, being without brains is a slander, and being big-breasted and having no brains is certainly a slander. York City just doesn't have that big of an idea and is just muddle along. The past few days of getting along, why I am jealous of CV-16, that is a trivial matter, just talk about it. As a senior who has been on many missions, she is more enthusiastic about teaching CV-16 various things to pay attention to without hiding anything. Well, her purpose is not simple, there are many small thoughts in it, such as showing off, but the flaws are not concealed. 16 dumplings, the deep-sea ship girls we suppressed yesterday were deep-sea heavy cruisers. They are not different from each of us. Except for a few deep-sea flagships, the deep-sea ship girls of the same type look similar. It's very perfunctory, haha. There is no intelligence, at most it is the level of a beast, driven by hatred and anger. We generally divide deep-sea heavy cruisers into two classes with a total of 8 models. One is called the Heavy Cruiser Class Lota, which are Type I, Type II, Type III, and Type IV. They have short silver hair, and a piece of cloth covers their left eye. Like a Chuyunibu. Wearing a chest wrap, that should be called a chest wrap, and exposing the southern hemisphere. They also hold fish-shaped naval guns in their hands, and there are naval guns on the metal tails. It is said the tail is a sensitive point. The sea breeze was getting stronger and stronger, and CV-16 reached out to hold down his long brown hair. Although most of the knowledge has been heard from the Admiral's mouth, you can still hear a lot of useful things from York City, you just need to distinguish. In fact, I don't have much inventory in my head. After all, I was more free to study at the academy. It just so happened that his character thought that he could not be a serious teacher or instructor, and York City soon got involved in an unknown place. This expedition is not good. Although the reward is quite high, all our consumption comes from the reward. The lower our consumption, the higher the reward. From this point of view, the bombers A-2 and B-25 cannot be used casually. They will be shot down. One of them will hurt you to death. I originally wanted you to practice how it feels to be the world's #1 bomber, but I can't do that now. Every time I ask Leipzig for resources, she has a stinky face. Yes, she has a stinky face. She is a money addict. The warehouse in the town hall is not hers. She is usually easy to talk to. As long as we talk about money and the resource is like a different person. I have to fill out forms, write loss reports, and sign. I also say that I reserve the right to pursue liability indefinitely. I will not hide the report, I am obviously so serious people. Normally, the Admiral is always worried about the destroyer expedition. Let me tell you, although we are all children, we are also ship girls. The main reason seems to be that Firefly got separated from Amethyst Quartz in the expedition. When the Admiral found her, she was in a garrison. Or an orphanage, and then worry about it happening again. Let me tell you, our Admiral is a lolicon. He likes the little house the most, the young Tirpitz. Don't look at Dowdu, Missouri, and Hindenburg are no match for her. North Carolina is also a little girl. But she is Washington's sister, and there are many versions that can be switched. There is also a little girl whose battleship is Veneto. I was unhappy, so I just touched her head and was stepped on, which hurt a lot. As long as you don't touch the Admiral's bottom line, no matter what you do, it's fine. Even if he says he doesn't care about you, he still cares about you. He doesn't take the hard way. If you want him to promise you something, just act coquettishly. He usually jokes, don't take it seriously, he is a very good person anyway. You have been tortured by Sister Lexington, so I won't say anything. Speaking of which, if everything goes well, We should be able to complete the mission in the next few days and return to the town hall. But I want to travel for a few days before going back. What do you think? There is somewhere you want to visit? Most of the time, York City is talking, and CV-16 is listening, and then occasionally responds or asks a question. Soon after, York City started talking about Saratoga and Zwihi again. The two liked to bully others, but they were also willing to help others if asked for anything. Speaking of Zwihi again, the Admiral likes to call her Green Hair Crane, mainly because she likes green clothes. She used to be a battleship with green paint. He only spoke half of it, his voice paused, and York City's expression became serious. The carrier-based aircraft discovered the enemy on the sea. At 3 o'clock, 2 deep-sea destroyers and a deep-sea light aircraft carrier. Good. I'll give you 2 deep-sea destroyers and my deep-sea light aircraft carrier. The Admiral told me to let you participate in more battles. You fly 3 fighter jets to participate in air control. Not too many. I'm afraid you will be shot down too much. If the losses are too great, our expedition will be meaningless. Although it has participated in 1 battle, CV-16 still cannot do as York City does as it pleases. When she controlled the carrier-based aircraft to fly towards the target, the battle in York City had already begun when she arrived. Only fighter jets were seen flying across the sky. When they discovered the enemy's carrier-based aircraft, they immediately raised their altitude and dived again. Sometimes it takes off, sometimes it dives, like a petrel flying on the top of the waves. She immediately pulled out 3 fighter jets to participate in air control, and the fighters started fighting. Then he controlled more bombers to dive towards the deep-sea destroyers on the sea surface. First find the enemy, then avoid the enemy's anti-aircraft machine guns. In 1 dive, 2 were lost. Iceberg Beauty is actually a fool. CV-16 is more or less the same, she is just a newcomer after all. The strength of the deep-sea ship girls may be strong or weak, but it is impossible to be just right. This battle did not last long. The enemy was not very strong in the first place, but we also had super powerful carrier-based aircraft, otherwise the 2 of them would not be allowed to attack. Moreover, York City has launched many attacks and expeditions, and can handle normal situations. Winning easily, the 2 sat on the rocks to calculate the results and losses. In fact, there is no need for carrier-based aircraft to fly back. The less contact you have, the more you will know how much you have lost. York City asked, 16 dumplings, how many carrier-based aircraft have you lost? CV-16 blushed slightly, but nothing could be seen from her expression. She said, 2 fighter planes were lost, and 5 bombers were lost. Actual combat and exercises are different. York City silently calculated how many resources it had lost, but did not have much clue. She didn't know which ship equipment consumed how much aluminum. She only knew that there were too many B-25s and A-2s. She said, our exercises will not actually shoot down carrier-based aircraft. You know, they are all made if you dive, you calculate the loss. If you do a roll, you get extra points. Observers are prone to mistakes, which can lead to inaccuracies. It's not like actual combat, where one is always the same, and luck is also very important. CV-16 was a little disappointed. She paused and said, it will take a lot of resources. York City waved her hands and shrugged her shoulders. She said, don't worry, it's nothing. Don't listen to Leipzig cry about poverty. The governor's house has a big business, so this little resource is insignificant. Do you know how many resources have been spent on you? This little resource is not worth it at all, it's not worth mentioning. York City is really not serious and doesn't like to use her brain. She patted CV-16 on the shoulder and said with a smile, Lexington treats you as a daughter. My mother is a secretary ship. What else is there to worry about? Not my daughter. Second wife, MRS Chiao, you are the one who wants to be the wife. Sister Lexington is also the Admiral's wife. Thinking about it this way, your relationship becomes very confusing. CV-16 had a straight face, his shoulders slumped, and he felt a little weak. They have lived together for many days, and she also knows York City's character. No matter how she responds, she can talk non-stop next to him, and she can take care of herself anyway. Looking around, York City suddenly jumped from the high rocks to the ground. She raised her head and said, "Diao Tai. You just called me Shiliu Dumpling, did you become MRS Dumpling again?" York City raised his hand, "You can call it whatever you want. It's enough that you know what it means. There are still many things you need to learn. Think more about what you could have done better just now. Don't make mistakes next time. Don't be afraid of losses. Just keep growing." The main reason she said this was that she had suffered more losses before. CV-16 pursed his li looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 653. Jiao Tai, you seem a little distracted. When CV-16 reacted, she only saw York City's face only a few centimeters away from hers. The heat of her words was still blowing on her face. She leaned back, "Really? Are you worried? Come on, tell your sister." "Nothing." Saying this, CV-16 remembered that they happened to be chatting at night, and York City suddenly said, "Historically, I am CV-5, you are CV-16, and I am your predecessor. I joined the garrison before you, and I am also your senior. It seems that I am older than you and stronger than you. It feels strange to call me senior, so you should call me sister." This is the fact, so she called her sister. Until now, York City has repeatedly regarded itself as its sister. Finally, seeing the concern and curiosity on York City's face, CV-16 decided to find a reason. "Can we travel like this?" He successfully completed the fire support of the expedition mission and received a large amount of reward. In fact, it was not that much. After all, resources were very important to every garrison. However, he did not return to the town hall immediately afterwards. Instead, he went to a nearby big city to play. "It's not a big deal." York City shrugged and turned around, facing the counter again, and explained casually, "I have to visit a nearby city after every expedition. It's okay. I just go back a few days later." The Admiral also knows about this. And he also supports us to go out more and take a walk, but everyone prefers to be with him. Originally, it was just a random reason, but CV-16 didn't dig into it, so the matter ended like this. York City lay on the glass counter and waved at CV-16, "MRS Chiao, look at it, what do you think of this ruby earring?" In fact, everyone is in a jewelry store. The interior decoration of the store is ordinary, and the jewelry is mainly for civilians. CV-16 looked at the earrings pointed by York City's hand. She shook her head and said, "I don't understand. Do you think it's appropriate to give it to Bumblebee?" "Bumblebee, I know CV-16, York City's sister, I just remember that her blonde hair was tied up very long. As an aircraft carrier, it is said that it is not strong enough. Anyway, every time the Admiral talks about it, as long as there are B-25 bombers, it will be able to live." A girl with no ideas. CV-16 said, "I have never seen Senior Bumblebee wearing jewelry. What do you think Bumblebee would like? Dolls are probably better, B-25 dolls. We can't sell it here, only Sichuan Jiu has it. There are many ship girls there, and the merchants are willing to make it." York City leaned on the counter with his hands behind his back. "How about I buy it and give it to you, and establish a good relationship with the Admiral's wife first?" York City laughed unbridled, and CV-16 was helpless. Zeppelin likes willow leaf pendants, and Missouri likes star-shaped pendants. In fact, Missouri has many. For a while, I changed one every day. I think the tassel earrings are quite beautiful. Yeah, the hairpin is also very pretty. Helena usually uses hairpins to tie her hair up, but unfortunately I only have short hair. Speaking of which, I once saw her use chopsticks to fix her hair, and it looked pretty. Diao Tai, you also have long hair, do you want it? CV-16 still shook her head, she didn't need this. York City suddenly became excited and discovered something interesting. MRS Dumpling, have you seen Helena's ring? I didn't pay attention living in the garrison. CV-16 studied beside Lexington every day. York City pointed his finger at the counter, this is the style. It looks quite cheap. Admiral is so stingy. Helena likes her ring so much that she wears it on her hand every day and can't bear to take it off. It's the same. Let's buy this ring. Then he changed Helena's ring quietly, so Helena probably wouldn't notice it. It wasn't the ring given by the Admiral, and she still wears it every day. Without training, CV-16 also knows common sense. It is very bad to do this kind of thing. York City withdrew her gaze. After all, of course she couldn't do such a nasty prank. It was clear that everyone valued the ring that represented the Admiral's feelings more than anything else, and anyone who joked about the ring or wedding dress would be killed. It's not that she has no brain, she can only be too lazy to think about the problem. They didn't stay long before leaving the jewelry store. The two of them were empty-handed and bought nothing. The streets in the city center were quite lively, bustling with traffic, and I walked around and visited many clothing stores, department stores, candy stores, etc. York City actually bought a pair of sunglasses and put them on seriously, but CV-16 didn't ask for anything. Jiao Tai, do you want marshmallows? Need not. Candied haws, or do you want apples? No need. Miss York Cheng can buy it herself if she wants. You don't have to think about me. Regardless of whether it was marshmallows or candied haws, York City bought them all, and then they all came in 2 portions. In the end, CV-16 could only reach out and take them. She took a small bite and heard from York City that her cooking skills were not as good as Yuxian's. She thought to herself, she heard Yuxian's name every time, how good is her cooking skills? And Senior Lexington was right, everyone in the garrison is a very good person. Not long after, he sat on a bench in the shade of a small square and dismissed a few men who were chatting with him. York City was holding a big bag of popcorn and was overjoyed to see the child who fell down in the square. CV-16 asked casually, who is the strongest among the guards? Battleship or aircraft carrier, you ask? Aircraft carrier. Do you need to say who is the most powerful aircraft carrier? York City patted his chest, of course your sister York City is. Seeing that CV-16 had no response and was not as good as so-and-so, York City threw a few popcorns into his mouth and chewed, Gaga, Saratoga, she is the most powerful. She is Lexington's younger sister. Historically speaking, she was just a CV-3, but her ship's parameters are better than anyone else's. She is also a pioneer in aviation tactics, which is a very good command ability. As long as you are by her side, listening to her command, the control level of the carrier-based aircraft will drastically improve. And she said that as long as there are people to cooperate with her, the more people, the better. Then she stops commanding and concentrates on controlling the carrier-based aircraft, which will lead to destruction of the world. Robin Saratoga. CV-16 thought of the blonde girl he met in the guardhouse who liked to make faces at him, but he could still tell that there was no malice. For example, if you bring snacks to your sister Lexington, you will never miss out on your own. I just felt a little childish and didn't expect it to be so powerful. Sister Lexington is similar to Gaga. After all, they are sisters. But she still has weaknesses. Mainly Gaga has better luck, but the admiral likes to say that she cheated on the Bath Queen. If I really want to say it, Lexington is the most powerful. The admiral's eldest wife can control the admiral very tightly. Well, the admiral is a strict wife, and anyone can control her, including the Prince of Wales and Bismarck. Come on, Mrs. Chiao. Has the admiral ever said anything bad about me to you? CV-16 thought and said a lot of bad things, but she neither shook her head nor nodded. York City continued, Sister Akagi is also very powerful. Are you familiar with her? Long and straight black, with flat bangs, like a girl. She leaves the cafeteria at the last time every day. She is a big foodie. Just ask her to eat her fill. She still has a good temper, but she didn't get along well with Sister Lexington before, but now she is much better. Actually, she was not a girl before. She was a mature, dignified, classic ladylike black-haired beauty. She just followed the admiral on a long trip, and when she returned to the governor's house, she had grown up and turned into a girl. However, her breasts are not small yet. Grow up, I want to grow too. Experience the past history in a dream, and then you can become beautiful and strong. The immortal guides the way. The immortal touches my head, knots my hair, and receives immortality. It doesn't seem right. It's still a dream. I don't know what to say. Anyway, you will become good at something as you grow up. In short, Sister Akagi has learned surprise attacks. When she becomes the flagship, as long as she can discover the enemy first, she can be familiar with commanding everyone to approach the enemy quietly, so that the enemy has no way to conduct air defense. CV-16 curiously asked, how can we grow? When it comes to training, we say we need core. You know training, and the core is to make up for the regrets in the history of battleships, and the core is to overcome the inner demons. For example, let Hood beat Bismarck, Akagi beat, let Akagi defeat we Yorktown sisters. The York City suddenly showed a serious face and said seriously, the above is just the admiral's theory. Please listen carefully. Anyway, only Akagi is growing up well. I tell you quietly, Guam was beside Akagi when he was growing up. Guam said, I wanted to grow, you must first overthrow the admiral, and Akagi grew up after overthrowing the admiral. The battleships of the past are just history, while the admiral is the future, and the latter is indispensable. Despite York City's oath, CV-16 is no longer the little girl who just woke up, and she is non-committal. The Raider is also very strong. The Bomber A-2 is her carrier-based aircraft, and she is best at controlling bombers. She works as a clerk in a cafe, wearing a bra all day long, and the ponytail headband always makes it look like bunny ears. That's it? York City held his cheek and said feebly, there are Xionghe, Ziwikaku, and Kaga, they are also very powerful. Bumblebee is not good, she doesn't look like my sister at all. Ark Royal is also an aircraft carrier, but it's a pity that she and I are not the same familiar. There is a battle cruiser called Glorious, and it keeps clamoring to be an aircraft carrier. Lastly, Graf Zeppelin, she used to be an academy instructor, and she is the strongest but not her mother. CV-16 mused. After finally introducing the situation to everyone in the governor's mansion, York City asked, Mrs. Chiao, is there anywhere you want to go? No. York City became excited, let's go to that garrison. It's called Chiushuang Garrison. The name is so tacky. I asked their secretary Ship Langley and said that there is a restaurant here with delicious food. Let's go there in the evening. Eat. Okay, CV-16 didn't care about any of this. York City had finished all the popcorn. She crumpled the carton into a ball and threw it into the trash can far away like a basketball. Then she stood up and held the back of her head with her hands. Jiao Tai, let's go. Don't think too much. You can't even beat me. Don't miss them. York City only saw CV-16 with his head lowered, his long hair hanging down from both sides, and his fists clenched at the same time. The voice was very low, and I could vaguely hear the girl saying, as a human being, don't bully young people into poverty. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 654. The sea breeze blew her long flaxen hair, and her cloak also rustled. Looking around is the endless blue sea, and the girl CV-16 is walking alone on the seaside embankment. If you only look at her appearance, there is no unnecessary expression on her face except coldness. In fact, even now, she still has a lot of embarrassment and shame. Facing the wind, with his head lowered and hands behind his back, CV-16 remembered what happened in the morning. I had a good rest in the hotel and didn't get up until about 3 o'clock in the morning. I sat down to have breakfast at a roadside shop, and then I saw York City talking while eating, and even waving his hands when he was excited. Yesterday we went shopping in the city center. It was much worse than the Sichuan show. It was boring. Let's go to the park today. The tickets are not expensive and we can go directly over the wall. Don't look at me like that. I'm just saying you can climb over the wall, but they didn't say we have to climb over the wall. I heard that there is a huge Ferris wheel inside, although it has not been open for a long time. There is also a restaurant, and the lemon duck tastes very good. Otherwise, we can go to the suburbs, where there is a flower at the market. You can only look at it but not buy it, so it's not convenient to take it back. I had already thought about today's plans at night, but I was hesitant and didn't know how to speak. It seemed that he noticed something was wrong with his expression. Before he could speak, he heard York City curiously ask, "What's wrong with the dumplings? Is it too spicy?" He looked down at his bowl. It was red inside, but it didn't matter at all. "No, I can eat it." As expected. I told you earlier, coriander is unpalatable. If you insist on putting it away, just take it away with chopsticks. He deliberately took a bite of coriander and said it didn't matter, the coriander is delicious. Do you have such strong taste? Well aware of Yorktown's interminable character, determined to get right to the point, I won't go to the park, I want to go out alone. Just after he finished speaking, York City's shady voice immediately sounded, "You actually want to break up?" Helplessly, he knocked on the table with the tip of his chopsticks. "Miss York Chang, be more serious. I think the park is very good, otherwise there are no scenic spots around. If we want to buy clothes and jewelry, we can go to Chuangziu to buy them. There are many kinds there. It's so pitiful that they don't even sell books here. I still want to help as I bought a few books and went back." The flower market was said to be very big, and there were many succulents, which were very cute. "Okay, it's okay. If MRS Dumpling doesn't like it, we won't go. My sister will go wherever she wants to go. Stay with me. I want to be alone." "Oh, what did I do wrong?" "No, it's just that I wanted to be alone. I don't know whether I should say I have a brain or I don't have a brain. Anyway, I just heard York City say, haha, MRS Dumpling, I know what you want to do. You must be feeling stressed after hearing what I said yesterday. You want to work hard, practice carrier-based aircraft, and strive to return to the garrison to impress everyone. Peace, don't worry, it will be a day more or a day less, whatever level you should be at. If you ask me, it doesn't matter, don't struggle anymore, just be a wife with peace of mind." Placing his hands on the railing of the embankment, CV-16 kicked the pebbles at his feet into the sea. He thought that he really wanted to punch that unpunchable face, but luckily he held back. Indeed, I felt the gap and felt a lot of pressure during this expedition. York City's ability to control carrier-based aircraft is already unmatched by itself. York City is not on the forefront in the garrison, so what if you think about yourself? Trying to be a weapon, it ends up being nothing more than a dull knife. Obviously the CV-16 Blue Phantom has countless achievements in history, but he is at the bottom of the guardhouse and is unwilling to accept it. Maybe you can't surpass everyone even if you work hard, but you definitely can't surpass everyone if you don't work hard. No matter what, you want to practice more and become stronger. Along the embankment, CV-16 went to a place where there was no human habitation. She doesn't like people watching around, just watching the fun. Watching the waves wash over the slope of the embankment over and over again, she unfolded her full body armor, and the jet black flight deck suddenly appeared. Very handsome, but unfortunately lacks matching strength. Without being sentimental, she set up the flight deck and the carrier-based aircraft soon appeared and took off quickly. You don't need to make any movements, you just need to give the command in your mind. The seagull-sized carrier-based aircraft is hovering in the sky, and there is no difficulty in flying. I was still shaky when I first woke up, but now I am able to be even and steady. However, these are just basic skills after all and are not something to be proud of. Pull up, dive, stall, spiral, pull up, decelerate, pull up. Even though there were pedestrians walking on the road, CV-16 did not deliberately avoid them again, but just repeated the action over and over again. From the perspective of others, it is indeed a bit boring. In fact, she also felt a little boring. The main reason was that she was half-heartedly recalling what York City had said. There is no problem that one wave of openings cannot solve. If there is, then two waves. Unrivaled in washing the floor and unparalleled in mowing the grass. Carrier-based aircraft, more carrier-based aircraft. I am God. If an aircraft carrier wants to exert its combat effectiveness, it simply cannot do it without enough carrier-based aircraft. At this time, only one carrier-based aircraft was operated, and the CV-16 felt useless. If I want to surpass everyone, I don't know how many years and months it will take. After thinking about it this way, she released all the carrier-based aircraft within the range that her spirit could bear. Like a flock of birds, like a dark cloud, CV-16 controls the carrier-based aircraft to gather together. Like fireworks in full bloom, she once again controlled the carrier-based aircraft to separate. It didn't seem to be difficult. He subconsciously raised his hand and pulled up all the carrier-based aircraft. Turn the palm of your hand and press it down, and the carrier-based aircraft swoops down. Finally, in the air not far from the sea, she pulled up the carrier-based aircraft again, and she smiled happily. After successfully completing the flying action, let's do a series of tumbling actions next. Gaga, this level is really bad. Suddenly, a rather arrogant voice appeared in his ears, and CV-16 quickly turned his head. Who is speaking? Yorktown. Nobody. Auditory hallucinations. With this thought in mind, CV-16 once again controlled the carrier-based aircraft to fly close to the sea, dancing on the top of the waves, but the arrogant voice rang again. The lower foundation determines the superstructure. You can't even fly a carrier-based aircraft, but you still want to control so many. What a fool who aims too high. This time CV-16 heard clearly, someone was definitely around. She looked around again, but still saw no one, only sunshine, waves, sea breeze, swaying tree crowns, bald eagles. Wait, why are there bald eagles here? Seagulls. Finally found out where I am. You really have no eyesight? It's impossible to be an aircraft carrier without eyesight. Why can a bald eagle talk? Double act? Puppet show? Bell-Macon, your carrier-based aircraft flying is terrible. Let me demonstrate it to you. CV-16 saw the bald eagle soaring into the sky without flapping its wings, acting like a carrier-based aircraft. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai-De-Rong Yan. Chapter 655. If an outsider saw this scene, it would probably be hard to imagine. The girl with a cool temperament lowered her head and was holding her chin in a fist with one hand, like a student who was thinking. However, what stood in front of her like a teacher was a bald eagle, standing on the concrete pillar of the embankment guardrail, pecking its feathers and flapping its wings from time to time. In fact, as a student, the girl CV-16 originally refused. In any case, it seemed ridiculous to regard a bald eagle named Belle Macon as a teacher. However, the bald eagle is very powerful and cannot be compared to it at all. Flying in the sky, except for occasionally flapping its wings, it behaves like a carrier-based aircraft. In addition, she also knew very well that a bald eagle that could talk was no ordinary bald eagle. After thinking for a moment, I realized that he must be from the Essex and qualified to be a teacher. What happened? You have great ideas. Let me learn how to build an aircraft carrier. As an aircraft carrier, you need to pay attention to several points, including environmental observation capabilities, shooting, and aircraft control capabilities. I don't know how many times I have conducted exercises, and how many opponents I have challenged, no matter who they are, Akagia, Lexington, Saratoga, Bismarck, Guam. Anyway, I have not lost a single battle so far. This move is called a sharp turn. When the enemy plane is ready to shoot at you, it quickly increases the off-axis angle to use the maximum instant turning speed to turn towards the attacker. Direct pursuit, delayed pursuit, front pursuit. Highly powerful maneuvers. In angle combat, if you occupy an aggressive position on the tail of the enemy aircraft, scissor flying is a very difficult maneuver. You need to be prepared for the carrier-based aircraft to crash before performing it. The purpose of the counter-rotation when the fighter plane turns to the opponent is to seize the rear attack position. Combining these two movements, this move is called a rising scissor. Bald eagles make various flying movements in the sky. A small number of CV-16s have seen it, although there is no way to control the carrier-based aircraft to do it. I don't know most of the actions at all, let alone seeing them, and I haven't even heard of the nouns. Still, she could see that the subtleties of those flying maneuvers had their difficulties. Staring at the sky intently, he knew very clearly that even if he knew everything, as long as he knew a few movements, he would never have been able to shoot down so many carrier-based aircraft in the previous battles, resulting in such huge losses. I know your carrier-based aircraft BTD-1 destroyer very well and have used it all my life. Haifang, I am familiar with this fighter jet. If you want to make the most of it, you should. You must first understand what capabilities the carrier-based aircraft has and what flight movements it can perform. You cannot mess around. Let me test you. What is the difference between Seafang and F-6F Hellcat? The Stuka is a dive bomber, and the Skua is a multi-purpose carrier-based aircraft. In addition to performing dive bombing, it also has air combat capabilities. At that time, CV-16 had no idea that a bald eagle could understand the advantages and disadvantages of various carrier-based aircraft so clearly, and could explain their performance in a clear way. Compared with the Admiral's teachings, Bald Eagle does not have many stiff textbook-like introductions and can easily point out the key points directly. The fighter jet has to seize the high altitude, so you can raise the angle to a wider angle. I told you to raise the angle to a larger angle. Do you want to raise it to 90 degrees? Please, use your brain. Which idiot teaches you a move that has too many flaws? York City? You still need to teach someone with half a bucket of water? If you want to counterattack, I have 10,000 ways. CV-16 controls the carrier-based aircraft, and the Bald Eagle can easily point out where the mistake is. Unlike York City, when she made a mistake, she knew at most that she had made a mistake, but she couldn't tell where the mistake was or how to change it. Even the flying movements of the York City Church were criticized as worthless. A bucket of water is not full and half a bucket of water is sloshing around. It's not clear whether her strength has reached a very high level. She can't compare with Lexington. The main reason is that she doesn't have enough eyesight, and she can't compare with the great gods. I can't say who is more powerful, but CV-16 can be said that Bald Eagle teaches better than Lexington. Mainly, it's not like Lexington likes to take political classes. He can't say a few words before getting involved with the admiral, and then keeps saying the admiral is the greatest and everyone as a ship girl must always obey the admiral and so on. In particular, Lexington teaches more about housekeeping than teaching the control skills of carrier-based aircraft. She wants to become an excellent wife herself, but she also wants to make a weapon called the Blue Ghost. And Lexington is great as a sister, but too gentle as a teacher. When you make a mistake, you just say nicely, "It doesn't matter, just try harder next time." Then he said that this flying action is relatively difficult, and there is no need to force it to learn slowly. It's really not harsh enough. The Bald Eagle is different. He will directly point out where the problem is and how to correct it. If the flying action can be learned at this stage, but it still doesn't know it yet, it will even scold it. Let's take CV-16 as an example. If there is anything bad about Bald Eagle's teaching, it would be too nagging. Issues that obviously only need one sentence to explain are mentioned again and again. I especially like to compare myself with others. You are so much worse than Essex. You are the worst student I have ever taught. Then he would go to considerable lengths to repeatedly mention how beautiful Essex was and how she was the loveliest girl. How powerful is it, the most powerful aircraft carrier? She is still the kindest person in the world, and being a goddess is enough anyway. When he heard that he actually had an admiral, he immediately yelled and cursed. He seemed to have a deep resentment towards the admiral and said a lot. I'm telling you, don't take any chances with our Essex family. Do you think I don't know how many twists and turns there are in the belly of a ship girl like you who joined the garrison? First we became friends, and then we invited them to the governor's mansion. In fact, we just wanted to salvage the boat and help the admiral salvage the ship. I can't even remember how many times I have encountered this kind of thing. You must not know how many admirals I have killed. Leave the garrison, the admiral is not a good person. He doesn't do anything, he only knows how to arrange things for others. The hard-working ship girl is out on expeditions, working hard on attacks, but he only knows how to make love with other women. If you give me a ring, give me that kind of breasts, the big one, the one who wears less, the one who shakes. The one who wears too much clothes, and picks up his nose and eyes. If it weren't for him, Essex wouldn't be so sad and silent all day long. I was just curious and asked about the admiral, thinking that there must be a bad admiral in Essex who had something very sad happen to him. Without an admiral, we don't need that kind of thing. If I meet him, I will kill him. Our Essex is so great, so powerful and hard-working, the most beautiful and cutest in the world. What the hell? Man, damn it, if you live there, a sow can climb a tree. You can't trust men with anything. They can only tell lies. They will arrange you on the secretaryship and gain favor every day. When you like it, they will immediately kick you away and replace you with a new one. Soft egg, coward, garbage. You too, just interrupt when you don't understand anything. Don't think that because you are Blue Phantom CV-16, you can take care of our Essex family's affairs. You are not her sister. People should know themselves. What do you say? There are no secrets between lovers. The person who said this neither understands love nor secrets. The same goes for friends and sisters. You are neither a friend nor a sister. If you are nosy, you are not a lady at all. Suddenly, the bald eagle felt like his daughter's abandoned father, and he felt uncomfortable seeing any man. If a ship girl meets a bad admiral, it will be a lifetime of misfortune. Sure enough, everyone is different. Unlike his admiral, he treats everyone gently and will not ignore anyone. I just mentioned casually that I would help make midnight snacks, and they tasted good. The secretaryship has always been Lexington, and the person I love most will never change, and will never be tired of the old. Despite the bald eagle's nagging, CV-16 spoke up and expressed that he wanted to see Essex and could help. After all, he has many connections in the garrison, such as the shipgirl headquarters, the gendarmerie, and the academy. If you encounter a bad admiral, punish him and teach him a lesson. However, the bald eagle just said that there is no admiral, so you don't need to worry about it. You can't find him at all because he is already dead. I didn't even eat lunch, and the day passed quickly from morning to evening, and I was a student for a day. Until the bald eagle flew away, and on the way back, CV-16 felt that he had encountered something magical and extraordinary. Here, York City returned to the hotel early and was lying on the bed in the room to rest. It feels good not to have CV-16 around. I can eat all the way from east to west when walking on the street. I don't have to worry about being regarded as a foodie or worrying about looking bad in front of the sister I finally got. Especially after eating all kinds of food, you can suck your fingers boldly without worrying about the image at all. She watched CV-16 return to the room, hugged the pillow and asked, "Diao Tai, how was your practice?" Still not very good at tact, CV-16 said, "I have made great progress. Also, there are a few mistakes in the flying movements you taught me, Sister York City." York City smiled happily, and her sexy thighs under her hot pants clamped tightly against the pillow. She thought that she had become so arrogant just after training outside for a day, and she dared to point out her own mistakes. It was funny. How about we make a show of it? Nodding, CV-16 also wanted to try what the bald eagle taught him. When we come to the open space outside the hotel, of course we will not release all the carrier-based aircraft. The CV-16 is still not capable of skillfully controlling many carrier-based aircraft at the same time, so it will definitely lose. Both sides just released a carrier-based aircraft. After all, they were just testing whether there were any flaws in the flight action. York City used its best flying moves, but for CV-16, the bald eagle had already taught her how to crack it, although there were not as many countermeasures as there were 10,000 methods. What was the result? There was no result. York City hugged CV-16 and cried bitterly, "It can't be like this. What a joke. I'm just going to teach you that flying move. Do you even know how to counter it? Hey, even if you have talent, there's no need to be so exaggerated. Sister York City, stop pulling on my skirt." CV-16 here did not hide anything and told what happened to him. Wanting to practice carrier-based aircraft, I met a chatty bald eagle on the embankment. Being able to speak and having knowledge of various carrier-based aircraft should belong to Essex, although Essex was not seen from the beginning to the end. The more he listened, the more unhappy he became. York City shouted, "A bald eagle taught you how to operate a carrier-based aircraft? Why didn't such a good thing happen to me? Is the bald eagle's name Yalao or Diao? What a mess, its name is Belmaken." CV-16 doesn't know that much yet. After all, he just joined the town government. It's not like York City has heard many stories. She explained carefully, "It's not an old man either." It sounded like an arrogant male voice. In order to regain the game, York City started to show off. After all, she had learned a lot of knowledge in the academy. Although my actual grades are very poor, I often fail the exams. "Tai Chiao, you said the bald eagle's voice is a very arrogant male voice." CV-16 nodded, thinking that he must have heard correctly. After all, the chatty eagle said so much. York City laughed, "You must have never seen a real bald eagle." "No." York City crossed his arms and said, "The bald eagle, its real name is the bald eagle. Most people have the impression that it is a large raptor with a beautiful appearance and a ferocious temperament, and its cry is also loud and loud. CV-16 pursed his lips. York City waved his hand. The front is not wrong, the back is wrong. It's fake. The calls of real bald eagles are not loud at all. Their voices are very cute, like small birds, and their voices are very thin. In old world film and television productions, the sounds of bald eagles were post-processed from red-tailed hawks. York City could barely remember that name, mainly because it was very difficult to remember, so I wrote it down on purpose. The bald eagles in Essex are like ship girls, coming from people's imagination and expectations. They actually have two voices. One is an arrogant male voice, which is deliberately faked, just like the dubbing of the red-tailed hawk. Its original voice is actually a soft female voice. It comes from a female eagle, otherwise it would not be so verbose, gossipy, and gossipy. Saying this, York City almost had it written on his face, "Come on, praise me, I know a lot, I am super powerful." He had never heard of such a thing before, and CV-16 was also surprised. Is this so? York City sneered. For example, Hood's two cats Ginger and Fish Cake are both female cats, and Kent's big tiger is also a tigress, otherwise you would think that they would be on top of each other all day long. All the ship girls are female. Children, even pets, are all female pets. We specially caught those pets and looked at them carefully. The Admiral also wondered whether Ginger and Fish Cake would become cat girls, and whether the three little wolves in U-81 would become the three beast heirs. Twins. CV-16 thought you were too bored, and went to see the male and female pets. York City shook his head. By the way, let's go and have a look tomorrow. I don't know if we will meet again. I didn't expect that an eagle can actually guide you to defeat me. I don't accept it. Let me still control the carrier aircraft. Haha, Jiaotai, do you know what is the most humiliating thing? Do you know what crows mean when they fly? Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 656. My cutest dumpling. These were not words of love, the voice was full of doting, like a parent to a child. The cute white-haired girl was sitting on the edge of the bed holding a pillow. She said, "Don't call me dumpling." Only in the evening did I realize that the bald eagle had returned home and pecked its feathers, but Essex is a dumpling. Although he is not good at words in front of others, the situation is much better in front of his partners. Essex said, "I don't care about you, I have mentioned it many times. Belle, where did you go during the day?" The usual arrogant voice has completely changed, although the talkative aspect remains unchanged. "I saw carrier-based aircraft in the sky, as well as the BTD-1 destroyer and Sea Fang that I am most familiar with, so I flew over. I thought there was some battle, but I saw someone practicing carrier-based aircraft there. Her level, it sucks." I was disdainful of it at first, but when I saw her wearing clothes that were similar to those of dumplings, I made an exception and gave some advice. It turns out she is Essex Class Lexington, your sister. It's a pity that her level is really bad. Too bad, she doesn't deserve to be your sister at all. Then I told her the most basic things and it was already afternoon, so I hurriedly flew back and it was already time to get here. Essex hugged the pillow, exposed half of his face, and murmured to himself, CV-16, sister. It's not your sister, she already has a garrison. It's hard to see any expression on the face of a bald eagle, but a lot of indignation can be heard in the voice. Although it has a stern face and no expression, I look at the smile on her lips when she mentions the Admiral. She will definitely not be able to escape from the clutches of the devil in the future. If a man doesn't have a good thing, he is just another dumpling that has been brutally murdered. To generalize, Essex said, "Belle, don't say that. At least our Admiral is a bastard." "Good man," Essex said stubbornly. "He is not a bastard." "Who is a bastard?" Do you still defend a man who abandons his family and his children? I'm not a wedding ship. Even if you are not his wedding bride, you are still his bride. And he flirted with you and didn't give you a ring in the end? Ha, you want to pretend that nothing happened? Is there such a good thing in the world? What if he doesn't like it? Don't put you on the secretary ship to spend all day and night with him. What kind of person is he? When you fall in love with him, you will immediately turn your back and deny him. As the saying goes, falling in love without the purpose of marriage is just a hooligan. Quack, quack, what should we do to deal with a gangster? Beat him to death. Hang him up and beat him with a whip dipped in salt water. If he faints, pour cold water on him. When he wakes up, continue beating him. Essex frowned coldly. Don't speak ill of the Admiral, or I'll put you in a cage. The voice of the bald eagle is actually not afraid. No, I am an eagle, and I am destined to soar in the blue sky. If I am locked in a cage, it will wither like a plant without sunlight, and finally die in depression. Sunshine, sky, wind, and our cutest dumplings, these are the only things that cannot be missing. I don't want to be locked in a cage, I don't want to wear anklets, I am not a prisoner, I long for freedom, I want to sing in the sky. Essex couldn't stand it anymore, so she said, "Stop talking, Belle, you talk a lot. As long as you don't say anything bad about the Admiral, I won't lock you up." The bald eagle walked on the bird stand, unrepentant. "I won't say bad things about him, because our dumplings like him. When I see him, he must give us a ring for dumplings, and the diamond on the ring must be a dove egg the same size. There are two kinds of weddings, a Chinese wedding and a Western wedding. You have to wear a cheongsam and a wedding dress. If you don't look carefully, it's hard to see the faint pink on Essex's face. Obviously the dumplings are so cute, with beautiful white hair like silk. They have such a good figure, with thin skin and large fillings. He doesn't know how to cherish it. It's because he missed it. He will regret it later. But we adults have a lot, so we can give it to you later. Give him a chance. After all, the prodigal son can never change his fortune. But we must build a secretary ship, which will never be replaced in the future. It is better to put a collar on his neck, and then put the chain on our dumpling's hand forever. Don't go further. When a woman exposes a lot, men always stare at her uncovered areas. When a woman wears a lot, men always stare at her exposed areas. Dumplings can also wear less clothes. It won't work if there's no secrets exposed among such a group of coquettish bitches. Just a little bit of exposure will make his eyes look straight and his eyeballs will pop out. Boom. Lips locked in shame and anger, Essex picked up the pillow and hit the chatty bald eagle in the middle. Fortunately, there was plenty of space around it, giving the bald eagle a chance to flap its wings desperately on the bird stand, so it didn't fall. "I don't know where he is." "Don't say anything. Belle, please calm down. Dumpling doesn't like to talk, so I'll tell her." It's true, Essex knows it well. Especially when he is feeling depressed, the bald eagle Bellmacan will talk non-stop, fearing that he will be disappointed in life, although he is also a talkative and long-winded person. Essex hugged his legs and rested his head on his knees. Although he knew that CV-16 existed in the world, he had never seen it before. It was too rare. Fletcher has so many sisters, and he obviously has many sisters, but no one has seen him and wants to be a sister. Essex Class Lexington CV-16, is she cute? Not as cute as our dumplings. Before the bald eagle could continue, Essex interrupted quickly, "Don't talk about me." Okay, let me think about it. CV-16 has long flaxen hair, a white headband, and a blue feather hair ornament on his forehead. He looks more like Lexington. His face was cold at first. It was cold. When I taught her a few powerful flying moves, she immediately looked at me with admiration. She felt a little cute. I also saw that she wanted to touch me. She was not allowed, so I could only touch it for dumpling. And then she's only so tall. Essex asked, how high is that? That tall means about the same height as you, 1 dumpling high. Lexington has 1.5 dumplings, Saratoga has 0 and 9 dumplings, and Veneto has 0 and 5 vegetarian dumplings without fillings. It has become a unit of measurement. No matter who you leave, the sun will rise every day, but the world cannot survive without dumplings. CV-16, I want to meet you. Is it possible? Even if Dumpling wants to pick the stars in the sky, we have to pick the moon. Whoever we Dumpling want to see has to wait obediently. Don't say she is just CV-16, even if she. Thinking that the bald eagle wouldn't stop talking again, I looked out the window. The sun had completely set, and Essex turned off the lights. The room suddenly turned dark, and the noisy voices stopped abruptly. I could only see the bald eagle Belmachan with round eyes in the dark. When combined, his expression seemed to have become confused. Bell can't see at night. When it gets dark, he loses his energy. Within a few seconds, the lights came on again, and Essex said, Bell, we're going to eat. You are listening to Novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai-De-Rong Yan. Chapter 657. The exercise ended, night gradually fell, and the lights of thousands of houses lit up. The powerful power of the ship girl comes from the ship outfit, which requires continuous resource consumption. Even if they don't use ship equipment, they still need to supplement their food in order to maintain their most basic consumption. York City took CV-16 to find a fairly high-end restaurant on the side of the street, and specially found a private room. The governor's mansion is not short of money now, unless it is a matter of delicacies. This is just a trivial matter. In fact, the two of them would rather eat at the governor's mansion than have a big meal outside. After all, let alone Yuxian's cooking skills, Xianghe's craftsmanship has few rivals. Although he is only good at exquisite Japanese food, the portions are often insufficient. Under the warm yellow light, mosquitoes were flying. The floor fan swayed, blowing away the summer heat. Sitting next to the window, the girl CV-16 is not good at using chopsticks yet, and her movements seem a bit awkward. York City was sitting directly opposite CV-16. She was not just a sister in words. She was able to fulfill her responsibilities as a sister and take care of her sister. She quickly stood up to help pick up the food. Plain cut chicken, delicious. Thanks. York City said indifferently, don't be so polite. Thank you endlessly. I am your sister. There were many dishes on the round table, including hot dishes, cold dishes, and snacks. From a normal person's perspective, the two girls would never be able to finish them all, but they are ship girls. York City smiled, eat more, you won't gain weight anyway. 70% full is enough. Come to think of it, the day you just woke up, MRS Dumpling, I saw you feeding the Admiral. That's amazing. Seeing the subtle pink color on CV-16's face, York City was amused. I didn't see you feeding my sister. So it was Miss York Cheng who spread the news. CV-16 tucked her hair behind her ears and raised her head. Embarrassing, haha, York City complained. I have told Nevada many times that it must be kept secret, but she has no control over her words. CV-16's face was expressionless. York City found that she was being stared at closely, and she felt a little guilty. In order to change the subject, he skillfully picked up the meatballs and asked, Dumpling, do you want to eat this? You definitely can't pick it up yourself. No, if you want to eat, I can just poke it with my chopsticks. Unladylike. Sister York City, it would be nice if you could sit more straightly. After a sarcastic smile, York City did not change her sitting posture. She defended, ladies in the garrison are not good. They are all like wolves and tigers. The smile on his lips was not sarcastic, but warm. CV-16 found that the longer they got along, the harder it was for him to have any respect for York City. Holding his face with the palm of his left hand, York City teased, "Mrs. Chiao, you are the real protagonist. You can meet an old man outside to teach martial arts secrets." Bell Macon. Bald eagle. It's just an eagle, it sounds like you respect it very much. Because it's awesome. No, your teacher is Lexington. It's different. Although Sister Lexington taught her very well, she was too gentle. It's not good to be gentle, does it have to be scolding? Not harsh enough. What's the good of being strict? Only the guy drinking water knows it's cold or hot. As the saying goes, awesome. For example, adults never buy vegetables they don't like, so they are never picky eaters. York City is actually not very knowledgeable, but she only talks about what she knows and keeps silent about what she is not good at, which makes her seem knowledgeable. After taking a sip of Coke, she started to show off her knowledge again. "Mrs. Dumpling, do you know David McCampbell? The ace pilot aboard the Essex." "You actually know?" "Just know." "You definitely don't know." "Well, it is said that the bald eagle of Essex is based on him. Think about the history and memory of the ship girl coming from steel, but the image comes from people's expectations. What did the crew think about it? David McCampbell is the ace of our Essex. If Essex becomes a girl, he will definitely be with us. In that case, let's become a bald eagle. Bell McCann, not McCampbell. In the old world, ships were described as women. I said this afternoon that the bald eagle next to Essex was actually a female man who deliberately spoke in a rough voice. But David McCampbell is the ace pilot. Isn't it too insulting to call a bald eagle by that name? It would be better if it were called Bell Macon. CV-16 raised his eyebrows. Why can't it be the eagle who speaks in a rough voice on purpose? Then the name is David McCampbell. A few shipgirls wake up and bring their own pets, such as Bismarck's Oscar, Hood's chest ginger and fish cakes, Kent's giant tiger, etc. The intelligence of pets is limited to the normal range, only Essex's bald eagle is different, possessing intelligence. It is more like a companion than a pet. So, probably in the minds of the crew, they don't want a man to follow their most adorable Essex. Male or female, it's just an eagle. Probably a perverted man. Men are very possessive. CV-16 was non-committal. York City continued, in the minds of the crew, Dumpling Essex has no mouth and doesn't like to talk. In order to complement each other, the setting of the bald eagle is that of a talkative one. That's too long-winded. CV-16 looked distressed as he recalled the day's experiences. By the way, there are actually many people speculating on another possibility. Like puppet shows, and puppet shows. Essex and the bald eagle are just one person, not two people at all. For example, a carrier-based aircraft is in our eyes, the bald eagle is the puppet in the hands of Essex. Everything that Essex dare not say can be said by the bald eagle. The things that Essex dare not do can also be done by the bald eagle. CV-16 stopped picking up food. I don't believe it. If it were me, I wouldn't want to believe that such a talkative eagle is actually my sister's doppelganger. Just ask Essex if he's alone. York City smiled. Even if you asked Essex and she said it was two people, would you believe it? CV-16 just imagined the image of his sister and shook his head quickly. His sister could not be that talkative. York City groaned twice. She was getting worse and worse. Speaking of which, you are CV-16, and the bald eagle is from Essex. Essex is your sister. We just happen to be traveling here for 2 days, so you are quite destined. It's not necessarily fate. It's possible that they live nearby. Even if Sister York City is practicing carrier-based aircraft nearby, Bald Eagle will probably come over to watch you practice and teach you how to control the carrier-based aircraft. York City shook his hand. I don't need an eagle to teach me. Although CV-16 defeated her with the help of the Bald Eagle, in the eyes of York City, no matter how powerful it is only at the level of Zeppelin, and is not as good as everyone in the garrison. To be honest, York City is really quite confident now. It was a long time ago that they were pressed to the ground and rubbed, and they have long been forgotten. It used to be at the bottom of the garrison, but now its ranking has risen. My sister Bumblebee and CV-16 are not as good as me, and it is said that Ark Royal, who just returned to the garrison, is not very powerful either. Long Xiang likes to point, and it is most interesting to teach this little lowly a lesson. Occasionally, you can even watch the fun and laugh at Hindenburg for not knowing how high the world is. She is a daughter-in-law who has become a mother-in-law. There was silence for a while, and York City realized that her words seemed to have caused a cold scene. She picked up a piece of shredded squid, chewed it, and thought about it. Dumpling, you said that the Bald Eagle is very powerful, so Essex it should be more powerful. If they usually live nearby, there is no need for us to come over specially for fire support. From this point of view, they definitely do not live nearby. Maybe he's just doing an ordinary job and has nothing to do with the town hall or the ship girl headquarters. It's possible. But I think it's more likely that they are traveling. If not, it's possible. Maybe Essex lives far away, and this time it's just a Bald Eagle wandering around outside. After all, it's not an ordinary. The speed of life is comparable to that of a carrier-based aircraft. No matter how far the distance is, it will be reached quickly. Have no idea. CV-16 has already put down his chopsticks, and York City has almost finished eating here. After paying the bill, they were walking back to the hotel. At this time, there were no pedestrians on the street. The Admiral and the ship girl have a fate, and they have a mysterious connection. The ship girl and the ship girl also have it, especially they are like sisters. I think of my sister Bumblebee. I happened to go on an expedition and saw her in Yukyang City. We didn't know each other at first. There is no reason, at first glance I felt that she was my sister, and then she really was my sister. Walking and walking, York City stopped on the road. She remembered that she used to follow the Admiral everywhere, just to find her companions from the former garrison. In addition, she has been awake for nearly 2 years now and has been living together. She has also gone to the abandoned townhouse with everyone. She has heard many things about the townhouse. She suddenly had a flash of inspiration and suddenly thought of some possibility. CV-16 didn't stop. After a few seconds, he realized something was wrong. He turned around and asked, "Why did it stop?" "It's okay." York City caught up with CV-16, "MRS Dumpling, did Lexington tell you? Our garrison also had the Essex before, and it is said to be very powerful." CV-16 nodded. Not to mention Lexington, she had heard about it from many people. In the eyes of many people, CV-16 was really cold, and it would be best to carry her sister Essex out. Topic: breakthrough. Feeling hesitant about his guess, York City's voice became hesitant. "Do you think it's possible that Essex, the owner of the Bald Eagle you met, is your biological sister?" CV-16 said, "They have an admiral. It only takes an admiral. Have you asked them the name of the admiral?" "I didn't ask. It was too strange. They were just strangers." "Where is the town hall? Have you asked?" "No. You just know that they have an admiral, but you don't know where the garrison is, the admiral's name, or whether he is a boy or a girl, right?" "Yes, Bald Eagle Belmacan is teaching me how to operate a carrier-based aircraft. We are not chatting. I have actually thought about what you said, but it has been said before. Their admirals are terrible, garbage, gangsters, perverts, but our admirals are not like that. I also wanted to find connections through the garrison to help punish their admirals, but they refused. The excitement suddenly decreased a lot. I am still quite good as an admiral. I must admit this. York City curiously asked, express the ship girl, destroy the attack, harass the ship girl. The street lamp looked like an upside-down teacup, and the two of them stood beside the green belt. CV-16 frowned. The bald eagle Belmacan talked a lot and kept cursing. However, thinking about it carefully, it was the same question over and over again. It didn't seem like he was doing anything bad, just cheating on feelings, cheating on Essex's feelings. York City murmured, deceiving feelings. A car passed by on the street, and its headlights stretched their shadows extremely long. After thinking for a long time, York City spoke, MRS Dumpling. Do you know? What do you know? It's not an honorable thing, I guess Lexington didn't tell you. Do you know how many people in our garrison like the Admiral? Children are not counted, more than half of the people like him. The Admiral left the garrison before, and now he has your back. Many people say, you know you're coming back, why not just die outside? That being said, I don't know how much I want the Admiral to come back. Usually they often say, you pervert is so annoying. In fact, I don't know how much I want the Admiral to come back. If you want the Admiral to touch her, it's best to give her a ring. Our Admiral is not very good at other things. What he is best at is to gain favor and then not give her a ring, which is to deceive the relationship. CV-16 was stunned, thought for a moment, and remembered the scene he saw in the garrison. It seems that many people like the Admiral. Not a lot, a lot. After originally stopping, they continued walking to the hotel. York City said, seriously this time, let's go there and have a look tomorrow and wait all day. If you can see a bald eagle, just ask. It's very simple. Don't make things so complicated. We don't know yet whether Belmacan will come. If you come, let's ask. If you don't come, I don't think you have any fate, and you are probably not sisters. Anyway, we can't wait here forever. At worst, we can go back to the town hall and tell the Admiral about this matter. Next, it's none of our business, they can do whatever they want. Walking slowly, York City said to himself, it can't be such a coincidence, but don't be afraid of 10,000, just be afraid of the worst. If it is really Essex, then we have made a great contribution and can be rewarded. CV-16 said absently, Sister York City, if you do something casually, you should be rewarded. Wouldn't it be annoying? What's wrong? I'm just asking him for a reward. I'm not threatening him. I can give it, but you can't steal it. I didn't steal it. Jiaotai, let me tell you, children who cry are fed by milk. Heh, how do you think Akaga's ring came about? It's coming. Miss Yorktown, do you want a ring? York City crossed his arms and said, I don't want to. Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 658. The black cloak has been taken off and the girl CV-16 is looking at the sea in the distance. At the same time, she is half-heartedly controlling the carrier-based aircraft to hover in the sky. It's just that the flight is completely unorganized. Anyone with a discerning eye can easily see that the operator has no intention at all. I heard quite shocking news at night. I didn't expect that the bald eagle named Belmacan who taught me carrier-based aircraft technology I met outside was very likely to be my sister's partner. Although it can't be said to be exciting, it's mostly confused. The Admiral who I thought was very good at first did not expect to be an emotional liar. It was just Lexington's education and preconceived notions that looked at the problem objectively. The Admiral did not deceive anyone and was irresponsible. Well, no matter how I tried to defend him, it seemed that he was irresponsible. It is difficult to wash the floor. I didn't sleep well at night. I got up early in the morning and ran over after eating something. I was not in good spirits. Despite arriving early, I didn't see anyone or a bald eagle. While waiting, I wanted to practice carrier-based aircraft. Normally, it would be fine no matter how boring the practice was, but thinking about what might happen, I became moodless. I wanted to put away the carrier-based aircraft, but then I thought that the bald eagle might see the carrier-based aircraft hovering in the sky flying over, so I finally let a few carrier-based aircraft fly at will. From night to day, I was worried about whether he would come over. Maybe it was just a chance encounter. There was no fate at all. I should have asked for the other person's address. During this period, York City was also heard saying, "Could it be that while I'm here, the bald eagle won't come?" No, he thought to himself that the arrogant bald eagle was not timid. If he saw the two of them, he would definitely come over and talk without even taking a breath. After waiting for a long time, no one was seen. Looking at the watch, in fact, not long had passed. One day is like 3 autumns, and one day is like a year. This is probably the feeling. It makes people anxious. All in all, I feel worried about gains and losses now. CV-16 turned his head slightly and looked at York City again. He couldn't help but think to himself, it's so nice to have a big heart and don't think about anything. If the sky falls, the Admiral will be there to hold it up. Sitting on the steps on the side of the embankment near the road, York City really didn't have much idea. Next to her were snacks, melon seeds, and several comics and magazines. After all, she decided to wait here all day. She usually also likes to practice carrier-based aircraft, but this time she did not practice carrier-based aircraft. The reason was not as excited, worried, and confused as with CV-16. I practice frequently in the garrison, but I feel that I have not made any progress. After all, the effect of practice is getting worse and worse. It is difficult to improve without real combat. There's also a reason why York City doesn't like to be forced to do anything. Even if I eat delicious food, I have no interest in being forced to do so. I prefer to do things according to my heart. It doesn't matter how hard or tiring it is if I like it or think about it. Diao Tai, come over and have something to eat? No. York City didn't understand why CV-16 was so nervous. Thinking about how he met Bumblebee in Fujiang City, it was much better. Mainly, he didn't think about her sister at all. As for whether Essex, the bald eagle's partner this time, was the ship girl of the garrison, she didn't care. It didn't matter much. They were just strangers anyway. If you are not a companion, what should you do? She was really the warship girl of the garrison. She went back to the garrison and asked the admiral for a reward. At most, you should be gentler when talking to Bald Eagle next time. You have suffered losses and have seen the world, and your head is not so strong. You can't quarrel with everyone, and no one in the garrison can look down on you. It makes people care about how Lexington feels when they see the CV-16, and what difference Essex will feel when they see the CV-16. Think about it now that there is an Essex-class Lexington, it would be great when the Essex-class Yorktown appears, and it can be treated as a daughter. Cars passed by on the road from time to time. York City ate snacks first, opened the magazine and read the jokes first. At the same time, seeing that CV-16's posture remained unchanged from beginning to end, she asked thoughtfully, Diao Tai, do you want to read a comic? It's quite interesting, don't worry, it's not Beizai's favorite comic, it's a serious comic, passionate fight, or else there will be magazines. I wasn't in the mood to buy any gifts and went back. It was fine before, but now there are more and more people in the town hall. Whether it's candy or toys, it's better to leave everything to the purchaser. It's enough to buy some books and magazines when you go back, everyone can read them. Looking at the magazine handed over by York City with colorful covers, CV-16 said softly, "That's really not necessary." York City didn't care, "It's not an option for you to wait like this, MRS Dumpling. Don't you find it boring? Anyway, we will do our best to obey fate. If there is fate, sisters will definitely meet. The bald eagle will definitely come, and Essex may come too. Meet my sister or something. How to say it?" York City closed the magazine and said, "Relax. Well, do you want me to tell you a terrifying story?" Whatever. As soon as the words came out of her mouth, CV-16 felt regretful, but she was not too worried. She had endured the chatty eagle yesterday. York City is really a trivial matter. It was quiet for a moment, and there was no sound except the sound of the waves. Main York City was hesitant, wondering whether to change the protagonist's name to herself. After thinking for a moment, she finally spoke. "Strength of the ship, level 3. Tirpit's face was pale and her lips were pursed. She clenched her fists tightly, and her nails dug deeply into her palms due to force. She had been joining the garrison for many days, and it turned out that she was genius. Jiaotai, are you listening? I was careless at first, but I wanted to tell a story for myself in York City." In order to cover up her absent-mindedness, CV-16 asked casually, "Listening, what is the power of a ship?" "The power of a ship is a kind of power." Then, "The commander of the ship, the master of the ship, the master of the ship, the spirit of the ship, the king of the ship, the king of the ship, the clan of the ship, the master of the ship, the saint of the ship, and the emperor of the ship are the levels." I originally wanted to introduce the worldview. Put it into the story? CV-16 responded casually, "Who is Tirpitz? The name looks familiar, Bizai. Just replace your image with that little Lolita with short pink hair. She wears short-sleeved shorts every day. Everyone calls her Zai. There is no doubt that she is the strongest person in the town hall." I know CV-16 really didn't want to complain. York City pinched his chin, "Let me give you a general introduction to the character. Tirpitz is a fallen genius. She had a childhood sweetheart named Rodney, the daughter of Loli. She originally had no hope for the future. Yes, she picked up a doll, and inside it was the battleship Sister Meow. By the way, she also had a fiancé named Peanut Stew. No, Washington. Are there such ship girls? Rodney, Washington, etc. I didn't say they were ship girls, I just let you pretend. If I really want to say it, I haven't seen Tirpitz and Rodney, but the Admiral said there must be some. I don't know about Washington. Maybe there are. Well. Anyway, just listen to it, the story will be very exciting later on. If you don't like it, I'll change it to another version. The Admiral has said many versions, and the one I just told you is the lowly version that has been revised again." CV-16 rubbed his forehead, straightened his long hair, and dealt with it casually. York City continued, "Shipmasters are also rare in the entire garrison." Finally, looking up at the sky, CV-16's cold face showed a trace of distress. "In fact, it can be said that Essex has been here long ago, but he was not discovered." She decided to come over and see CV-16, even though in the true sense, she was not her sister at all. "I saw two people from a distance, one sitting and the other standing. The girl with short blonde hair was sitting on the steps in an indistinct manner, talking and eating at the same time, never taking any time off. But the person is still very nice. At least the melon seed peels are not thrown around. They are placed on the magazine next to them, hoping that there will be no strong wind. I retracted my previous idea and actually threw all the melon seed peels into the sea. I heard from my friend Bell McKen that CV-16 and the Yorktown were together, so it must be the Yorktown. In this case, Then the long-haired girl standing next to York City with her hands on the railing and looking into the distance must be his sister CV-16. Essex was hesitant to go up. She seemed aloof and shy easily. Beside her, the bald eagle bear Macon hasn't stopped chattering since she came here. Today, two of them actually came. Could it be that they brought someone here specifically to teach me the techniques of carrier-based aircraft? That's right, York City only has half a bucket of water. As long as CV-16 uses all the countermeasures I taught, York City should know how powerful she is. But I don't want to teach her at all. Look at her waving her hands while talking, like an idiot. I don't want to go out in the future and have a bunch of people pointing at me. Look, that is stupid Yorktown teachers, stupid students must have a stupid teacher. Dumpling, look, the two of them are talking. They seem to have evil intentions. They must have come with some evil purpose and are waiting for us to fall into our trap. Do you remember the last time? And the last time? Those ship girls, I taught them 2 tricks, and they come to me every day to ask for advice. The actual purpose is all for you. CV-16 must be the same as those we met before. She wants to salvage the boat. I misjudged her. She actually found it. A helper is here, but it's still a daydream. Essex didn't care about the bald eagle's words at all. After thinking about it for a long time, he finally plucked up the courage. However, he quickly got up his courage, failed again, and finally said, "Belle, do you think it's weird that I came here specially?" Standing on the arm of Essex, the bald eagle Belle McKen said, "What's so strange? Do they dare to say anything? If they dare to be disrespectful to my cutest dumplings, I will teach them a lesson. No one can bully dumplings, no one can do it. Anyone who dares to bully dumplings." Essex interrupted the bald eagle, "How about you go over first, and then I will pretend to go to you, and then meet CV-16. I'll go ahead, dumpling, please follow me." With its wings raised as if in salute, the bald eagle flew straight into the sky. Originally, I wanted to fly over quietly and scare people, but this time the bald eagle obviously had no chance. After all, it turned out that CV-16 was concentrating on controlling the carrier-based aircraft and did not pay attention to the situation around her. However, this time she still paid some attention to her surroundings. She was not really listening to York City's story. So she spotted the bald eagle swooping down from the sky long ago. York City next to her didn't notice. She became more and more enthusiastic as she spoke. "Tirpit's current state has reached the level of half-step Great Ship Master, first level advanced peak perfection, and he is invincible at the same state. I saw her punching viewed." CV-16 said hello softly and heard the sound. York City looked to the side and saw a bald eagle standing on a concrete pillar. At this time, she was a little confused and did not react at all. "Idiot, wherever you look, I'm right in front of you, in Lower Belmacon. You actually came. What's your tone? If you want to ask me a question, be respectful. Do you know how powerful I am? Let me tell you. It's really noisy." Thinking of this, York City was not going to say any polite words, so she spoke directly, "I'm coming over. Well, Bill McCann, I want to ask you a question. What is the name of your admiral?" At the sudden question, the bald eagle blinked and shouted, "Why are you asking this? What are your plans? You are not qualified to ask me this question. You are not a policeman. Even if you are a policeman, I don't have to answer you. You have no power. Or say you are a military policeman, so show me your ID. I'm telling you, don't lie to me. I've seen what the ID looks like, so how can I tell the authenticity?" York City sat cross-legged on the ground and ate a piece of halva. "I just wanted to ask your admiral's name. You talk a lot. If you don't tell me the reason, I won't answer your question." York City nodded, not caring about the possible embarrassment afterwards. Well, the reason is like this. We lost an Essex in the garrison. Our admiral's name is Sugu. Do you know him? Ha, you lost a dumpling in the garrison. It has nothing to do with us. You don't think that the dumpling you lost is our dumpling. You can actually lose someone. How funny this is. I have never heard of it before. I want to tell everyone about this townhouse. Why don't you also lose your townhouse? The bald eagle's voice stopped abruptly. What did you just say your admiral's name was? Sugu, someone Sug, Xiao Sug, brother Sug. What? Let me ask you, where did you hear this name, who told you? Do you want to come here with a name to deceive us into making dumplings? You think so well. What evidence do you have photos, who sent you came here? On the other side, I saw Belmachan flying over, and Essex finally followed, and soon saw CV-16. Except for the clothes that look like him, his appearance is more like Lexington, but there is a familiar feeling. Essex was a little uneasy, crossed his fingers and stirred. Hello, I am the Essex, and Belmachan is my partner. Are you an Essex class Lexington, Blue Phantom CV-16? Looking for the lost ship girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 659. This was many days after York City and CV-16 left the garrison and went on an expedition. Logically speaking, they should come back. However, nothing can be calculated just right. It may be more or less days. CV-16 has just woken up, and is a novice in every sense of the word, but York City is already experienced, so there is nothing to worry about when the two of them are together. Moreover, we already had information about the deep-sea ship girls in advance, but they couldn't completely eliminate them, so they needed fire support from the surrounding garrison. Then they also took away the garrison's best carrier-based aircraft, so there was no need to worry at all. At this time, the cicadas chirped non-stop, and Sugu left the office. Madam, I'm going to take a nap. You should also take a rest. A certain blonde girl immediately got up from the sofa. Brother-in-law, let's go together. Admiral, go ahead, I don't need it. Lexington, who had long flaxen hair tied up and was wearing a plaid skirt, looked at his sister. Gia, you just slept, don't bother your brother-in-law. Saratoga muttered, brother-in-law, 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 if you say you are fat and have asthma, that is my husband too. Sister, do you want ice cream? Where's the tonic? Sugu returned to his room and Bazai slept on his bed. It was clear that this girl must have been cultivating again at night, so he simply went to Bismarck's room to exchange. After a long sleep, it was already afternoon when I woke up. The fan that was blowing on it had been switched to the shaking mode by someone, and it was held farther away. It's not necessarily Bismarck. After all, it's not closed, so anyone could see it. Walking down from the dormitory building, Sugu saw Xiaozai wearing a t-shirt, shorts, and a white dress under the eaves outside the office, quietly dreaming like a little princess. They stood side by side against the wall, expressionless. Sugu asked curiously, "Why are you standing here?" The little house wilts and replies, "Stand still. Sister meow." After rubbing Xiaozai's head until the little loli slapped his hand away in anger, Sugu said, "Why did she punish you? What did you do again? Who did you bully?" "No, I haven't done it yet. Their crime is to destroy the harmony of the town hall." This sentence came from Missouri, who came out of the office with a bright smile. In addition to Hindenburg, she also liked to chat with Lexington. Sugu turned around. What did they do again? Missouri was overjoyed. They made Veneto cry. As the evil forces in the garrison, Xiaozai and Xianxiang do like to bully others, of course, they are just playing around. Maybe there might be an accident, but I just thought it would be okay if I made Shuyunibu Amethyst cry, but Veneto wouldn't be able to do it anyway. Not to mention that the eldest sister is so powerful and domineering that no one dares to bully her. Besides, just after returning to the town hall, Xiao Zai took Veneto for a walk around the town hall, and they established a deep friendship from then on. Missouri watched the whole incident. She thought it was funny when she recalled the scene she saw. She took 2 deep breaths and asked Sugu, "Do you know who Xiao Zai likes the most?" Needless to say, of course it's me. Sugu was very confident in this point. The two of them had lived together for the longest time. Missouri grinned, "You are so annoyed by touching people's heads and pinching their faces every day. How dare you say that? It's just, well, jealousy. If you don't admit it, there's nothing you can do about it. Sister Bismarck is fine. So what's happening everywhere?" Touching his nose, Missouri said, "Don't Bismarck and Hood dislike each other?" Bismarck was standing by the dock at noon. She usually likes to go there. Ark Royal was also practicing carrier-based aircraft during this time, and then she was at the dock. Hood happened to be looking for the Ark Royal, and then he discovered Bismarck. Hood said loudly, "Ark Royal, you have been back for so long. You are the only aircraft carrier in our British Empire. It is not good if it is not powerful. I want the Admiral to give you the carrier-based aircraft Swordfish, 810 Squadron, practice more. Speaking of which, have you noticed that the crickets are so noisy at night, you really want to crush them all to death?" In the end, Bismarck left without saying a word, and Hood was very proud. Zai and the others were also playing at the pier and saw it. She liked Sister Meow the most, so she decided to humiliate Hood. Sugu was confused, but what does Veneto have to do with it? Hey, let me finish. Please continue. I remember that Xiao Zai used to replace white sugar with salt, but when Hood drinks black tea, he only drinks sugar cubes. This method doesn't work. Hood, he has brilliant long golden hair, is beautiful, and has a good figure. Tall, powerful, and still on the wedding ship. Luck is hard to say, but she was quite lucky this time. And her only weakness, breasts, she has no breasts at all. In fact, Prince Eugen was heckled next to her. Anyway, Zai decided to have sex with Hood, telling jokes in front of her to humiliate her. Sugu was about to speak, but stopped when he saw the look in Missouri's eyes. Missouri was satisfied and continued, "A joke requires 2 people to perform. Zai found Kong Xiang to play the ghost, and then Veneto. Why did he just find Veneto? Don't ask me, I don't know. Anyway, I am the one who said the lines of Vacation. Damn, I don't have legs." Then Veneto's line, "You just don't have legs, I don't have breasts." She wasn't willing to do it at first, but they were urging her, and Veneto read out this line, and she almost cried. Bismarck saw it and thought they were bullying Veneto. Sugu was still confused, and Missouri shook his head, "Don't you understand? Veneto has always cared about this matter, and it's not just about being flat-chested. Xiao Zai regards her as a companion, and Bismarck also thinks that she will be bullied by little Lolita. Reduced to the status of a little Lolita. If it were you, wouldn't you be hurt?" Sugu showed an implicit smile. "It seems to have a little taste, but it doesn't feel funny at all. You didn't see the scene at that time, you couldn't see the expressions and the atmosphere. I told you, you don't understand either." Sugu looked at Missouri, who was laughing so hard that he couldn't stand upright. He asked, "How do you know so clearly?" "I watched all the way and even made a few comments." "There is another question. Since you know what happened, why don't you explain it to Xiao Zai?" Missouri spread her hands and walked to Xiao Zai. She wanted to pinch her face but was immediately slapped away by the little loli. She said, "Why do you need to explain? I want to see Xiao Zai being made to stand, and I don't even want to ask her to sleep with me. You are hopeless. No wonder she doesn't like you. I only want her body, not her heart." I thought to myself that this hood was lucky, and there were times when he was lucky. Sugu walked to Xiao Zai again, touched his head, and said, although it didn't succeed, we can't arrange Huda, so we have to stand as a warning to others. Adults are the best teachers for children, and they must not be treated differently. Utopia was not angry, she said, you darken Hood and Veneto every day, and only the state officials are allowed to set fires and the people are not allowed to light lamps. Therefore, he is said to be invincible in the entire town, and no one dislikes him. Xiaozai can bend and stretch. She pulled Sugu's pants. Admiral, bend down, I have something to say. What do you want to say? Don't ask me to plead for you. I can't beat your sister Miao. As Sugu bent down, Xiaozai put his hands around his neck. Admiral, Xiaozai likes you the most. Sugu paused, thinking that Bismarck was nothing, he was just a soft cat. Veneto was not mentally strong enough and was just fighting back against Hood. He had not yet succeeded, so why should he be punished? Nothing is more important than Xiaozai. He picked up Xiaozai and said, no need to stand still. Let's go. The Admiral will take you to play, fantasy, I didn't say you can stay here too. The white-haired girl immediately rushed to Sugu, punched him, and then smiled. Sugu picked up Xiaozai, while Kong Xiang still held his hand. As soon as he walked out of the eaves, the sun was too strong, so he stepped back. What are we going to do? Hood bullied Sister Miao. Okay. Let's go bully Hood. Sugu took the small house and Kong Xiang to find Huda, and found her sitting under the pavilion. There was black tea and snacks on the stone table in the middle. Reputation, the head maid, will no longer be at Hood's side at all times, but there is no problem in helping prepare afternoon tea. Of course, Reputation is not as expected to be by Sugu's side as she originally imagined, and she also has many things to do. Hood finally found you. Seeing Sugu, Hood showed a happy expression. Admiral, are you looking for me? It had already been discussed. Sugu sat down opposite Huda and solemnly said, I will bring them two over to apologize to you. Why are you apologizing to me? Hood naturally didn't know there were so many developments. They wanted to insult you, to avenge Bismarck, and they were discovered. Hood smiled. She rarely ridiculed Bismarck. No, it doesn't work for the big ones, even the small ones have to apologize eagerly now. Huh, I usually call her Aunt Hood, which is unforgivable. But after all, he is an adult and cannot argue with the little girl. The girl with glasses still said it doesn't matter, okay, I forgive them. No, just forgive me. You don't know what they said about you. Kong Xiang ruffled his long white hair, made a face, and patted Xiaozai on the shoulder. I'm a ghost, I have no legs. Xiaozai glanced at Hood and patted his chest hard, I don't have breasts yet. His expression suddenly became dull, and Hood's arm holding the teacup stiffened until the two little Lolita yelled Aunt Hood, I'm sorry, and ran away. She looked at Sugu angrily, so the Admiral came here specifically to bully me. No, I brought them here to apologize. Huda knew very well how many tricks Sugu used to bully him, so naturally she didn't believe it. Sugu said, they are just little girls, don't argue with them. Obviously he is used to it, but Hood still feigned anger, a bunch of naughty kids are lawless. Admiral, you don't care, you still call me aunt, I told you to call me sister. They call Bismarck sister, and they call you aunt. You see that you are a generation higher than Bismarck for nothing. You should be happy. What you say makes sense, but I'm not happy at all. Well, if that's the case, my seniority is also higher than that of the Admiral. Sugu nodded, I think too narrowly. Auntie means older women. Admiral, I threw black tea on your face. On the other side, Xiaozai and Fantasy ran away, and they decided to go to the secret base, which was actually Suk Bader's container. It was very hot in the summer, but the container was moved under a big magnolia tree. Because the lush tree canopy blocks the sun, the sea breeze is usually strong here. Although there is no fan, it is not too hot. Thatcher and the black-backed jackal were sleeping inside. Xiaozai walked in and touched their heads, two puppies, Ah Huang and Ah He. On the straw mat outside the container, several little girls were playing Ludo. Lafite was wearing a vest and hot pants. She crossed her legs and smiled happily, "Haha, you are forced to stand." Unlucky even if he is punished, Xiaozai likes Sister Miao the most and will not complain. Looking around, he was no longer interested in Hood. Xiaozai asked, "Where is U-81? She just missed the three little wolves." "In the sea. They haven't been ashore all day," Lafite answered. She took out the comics from the container, but she still felt a little stuffy inside. Xiaozai decided to read the comics outside. She asked again, "Where did Master Su and Odin go?" "They fish every day. You can't fall out of the submarine." Xian Xiang was also holding a book, and she asked, "Xiaozai, which episode is the one you are holding?" "Episode 3. I haven't seen it yet." "It's not my business." As they were talking, they noticed something hovering in the sky. Seagull. Skua. Pulsatilla. The black shadow in the sky seemed to have discovered the pointing little Lolita and swooped down quickly. Sun Xiang had the fastest reaction. She picked up Suk Bader's cardboard box and covered it directly. "Do you see what I caught? You are listening to novels at Bless Up channel. Wish you happiness and luck. Please subscribe to receive new novels. How do you feel about this novel? Please like and leave a comment." Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai De Rong Yan. Chapter 660. The bald eagle felt unhappy when he found himself pinned to the ground. What happened was that after learning the news about the admiral, he rushed to the garrison. Since flying is naturally much faster than sailing, we were almost there and decided to go see what was going on first. Hovering in the sky, I saw a lot of people here and there in the huge garrison. I found that someone had noticed me, so I swooped down to the ground wherever I could and had someone cover me with a box. It was pitch dark inside, with only two small holes letting in light. "Be careful, you might catch someone with your claws. Maybe he'll even peck someone." Just then I heard the voice, and before I could say anything, a hand suddenly reached in and touched, and then pushed myself to the ground. When the box was taken away, I immediately saw many little Lolita. Although I could recognize them all, I still had to struggle. As a variant of the ship's armor, it can be said to be beyond conventional life. However, the power of a carrier-based fleet cannot be compared to the power of a group of destroyers, especially Kotaku. It's so sad. Head to head, the little Lolita formed a circle, and they looked at the bald eagle, whose eyes were round due to stress reaction. Xian Xiang's face was full of excitement. "It's actually an eagle, I caught it, it's mine. Don't you know it tastes good? Cushing actually cares a lot about eating. Everything Sister Yuxian makes is delicious." Everyone nodded. Lafite tugged on the bald eagle's wings. "I want to eat the wings." The bald eagle thought that it wanted to eat itself. It was unbearable and it didn't give up. "Let me go. Do you know who I am?" "Have no idea." "This is the truth." Little Loli recognizes the bald eagle, and she also knows that there were bald eagles in the guardhouse before. It's just that to them, all bald eagles in the world look the same, with a few differences at most. At the same time, they realized that an eagle could actually talk, and the atmosphere suddenly became lively. Akatsuki Raiden is a girl, and Lan doesn't have much fun with them. Instead, she spends more time with the beautiful ships. At this time, she covered her open mouth with both hands, showing a shocked expression, as if she had seen something extraordinary, and stretched out her finger to tap the bald eagle's head. "She can talk. Isn't it a bald eagle? Is it a parrot? Maybe it's Mina. Hearing the chirping sounds around, the bald eagle was also spotted, and no one recognized it at all. Lying on the cement floor in humiliation, he made an indignant voice, "I am Bel McCann." However, everyone still doesn't know him. The bald eagle still didn't give in. It yelled loudly, "You naughty kids, let me go, or I'll make you look good later. You will be taught a lesson. Lexington will lock you in a small dark room. You will also have your palms slapped, was spanked, and finally deprived of food, and then bought." Now that they have met and had many exchanges, Bald Eagle also knows the situation of the garrison. For example, who is the secretaryship and how many people have returned to the garrison. These little Lolita are not real little girls, they are just good-natured little Lolita. They still know a lot of things, and they know very well that these are just tricks used by adults to scare children, and they are not afraid at all. In fact, don't talk about ship girls, ordinary people at this age will not be frightened like this. Continuing to watch the bald eagle, the little Loli also has a disgusting side at a young age, which is ignored by people because of her cuteness. The bald eagle continued to struggle, "I am Bel McCann, dumpling's closest friend. I like pork dumplings. I like to eat leek filling." It was rare for the bald eagle not to babble, "Dumplings are not dumplings, they are the cutest Essex in the world, your sister. Let me go quickly. If she knows that you dare to do this to me, she will never let you go. Yes, everyone will be bombed." The name Essex was so familiar, but it was too far away from my memory. Everyone was thinking carefully. The bald eagle wanted to give up. "I have made meritorious deeds for the governor's office, and I have shed blood for the governor's office. I want to see Sugu, and you can't do this to me." Thatcher woke up from his nap and touched the feathers of the bald eagle. "Who is Sugu? We don't have Sugu here." Xiao Zai wanted to hit Thatcher on the head. "Idiot, Shiba Inu Thatcher, Sugu is the name of the admiral." Thatcher, the little idiot, muttered, "Admiral, just say Admiral, what about Sugu?" "You want to see the Admiral, what do you want?" Xiao Zai said in an old-fashioned tone. Lafayette wanted to touch the bald eagle's eyes, but the bald eagle closed them early. "The Admiral is not something anyone can just meet if they want. Do you have an appointment?" The sun was still shining horribly, there was a heat wave in the air, and the temperature was brutal. Sugu was still sitting under the pavilion chatting with Hood, and the two were discussing Bismarck. Hearing the shouting, he turned around and saw Xiaozai grabbing the wings of a bald eagle that looked apathetic, like a chicken. "Admiral, it's looking for you." The bald eagle saw Sugu. "Oh, bastard Admiral. And the unlucky Hood." Sugu was confused, and Xiaozai explained, "It's this eagle that's talking. It says it's Bel McCann, Essex's sister's companion." Eyebrows lowered and brought together, Sugu said to himself, "Essex. It's just dumplings." Although he is always bullied, Hood is still reliable. This is in the office, the bald eagle is standing on the desk. It was quite weak at first, but later became more and more arrogant and bossy. The talking bald eagle was very strange when we first met it. As the talkative eagle talked more and more, and often liked to talk about other things, Sugu felt a little annoyed. "Before we get down to business, let's scold the governor's office first. For example, the layout is too small and not elegant enough, the decoration outside the house is not good looking, and the location is too remote." They also said a lot of bad things about Xiao Zai and others. Yan Ming must be educated well. He usually lacked discipline, which caused Helena standing next to her to have a gloomy face. She has always been responsible for education in the town hall, which is a slap in the face. Nagging sounds like a middle-aged aunt, but her voice is clearly male and still very arrogant. Finally, we got down to business and talked about it in a trivial way. What did I eat in the morning? What kind of mood did I have when I came to the city? I saw CV-16 practicing carrier-based aircraft, and then I talked about what clothes CV-16 wore that day. He also emphasized that the level of the CV-16 carrier-based aircraft was too poor, and listed how many techniques he had taught him. Until Saratoga caught it, my sister is responsible for the education of CV-16. Seeing Lexington, the bald eagle calmed down a bit. I said York City is stupid. After a long time, Sugu finally understood what was going on. York City and CV-16 met Essex outside, and then everyone came back today. The bald eagle came to the garrison as a vanguard to see the situation. Although he had already believed Lexington's words that the admiral and the ship's wife would not be separated forever. As long as they kept searching, they would always meet, but he still felt that the world was really wonderful. Finally, the bald eagle shouted, "Since you know that Dumpling is back, why not hurry up and greet him?" Saratoga couldn't stand Sugu's good temper anymore. Before everyone left the office, she reached out and caught the bald eagle again and suggested, "Let's roast it and eat it." "I agree," Helena's voice. Hood smiled and nodded, and Lexington agreed without objecting. Of course roasting was impossible, but what followed was the bald eagle's nightmare. Xiaozai followed her to the office. She sat on the sofa and swayed her legs, asking, "Sister Gia, can I pull a feather?" "Of course. It doesn't matter if you pluck out all its fur. You can recover it with a little bit of resources anyway. Just go ahead and make a feather fan, that's a really good idea. It's just summer." Seeing Xiaozai's eager expression, the bald eagle finally began to panic. It shouted, "Hey, what are you going to do? Don't come over. Don't pull my feathers. This is my most precious thing. I still need to rely on them flying in the sky. I only need one." Saratoga held the bald eagle, Xiaozai spread its wings, and stroked it carefully while considering which feather was better to pluck. The bald eagle struggled hard, but could not resist at all. Xiaozai got the feather, and he was not worried about the shortage but the inequality. The little loli who followed Xiaozai into the office also wanted it. "Let go, please, don't keep pulling," the bald eagle was flapping. Saratoga held it firmly, the chatty eagle. Arriving at the pier, the bald eagle, which quickly regained its energy, changed into the mode of resentful father-in-law and mother-in-law again. "I'm telling you, you have to take good care of the dumplings." Yes, Sugu nodded, of course, thinking that when the Colossus would come to play in the guarded mansion, it would be a good match and a good talent. To be honest, even the Colossus was completely inferior to this chatty eagle. Then I thought about it, and there might be a reason for it. The girl was much cuter, her voice was much more pleasant, and nagging was not a worry. The bald eagle never stopped talking. How to take good care of dumplings. You have to be attentive and fun, remember Dumpling's birthday and prepare gifts at any time. Seeing Sugu's expression, the bald eagle was furious. "Ha, don't tell me, you don't know what Dumpling's birthday is." Naturally, ship girls do not regard the time when the battleship was launched as their birthday. Their birthday is the day when the battleship was built by the admiral or when it woke up from the sea, just like Xiaozai's birthday is Children's Day. However, it was just a game back then. How could Sugu remember when everyone fished it out? Birthdays, wedding anniversaries, etc., I don't remember them all. Of course, I later heard about it from everyone's mouths and took note of it. It's just that even if it's a birthday, the town hall doesn't hold it in a grand way. After all, there are too many people in the town hall, and there are birthdays every few days. In fact, birthdays are very concentrated. Most of the activities are held on one day, and everyone is also on the same day. The bald eagle didn't care too much about Sugu and continued, "You have to be magnanimous. If you quarrel with Dumpling in the future, you have to admit your mistake first. But Dumpling is so cute and he will definitely swallow it, so you'd better not let me find out. It has forgotten that its hair was plucked and tries to threaten people. You have to be a good man." A good man must first be able to tell lies, but this lie does not mean that you cheat on others. When Dumpling is angry, you have to coax him well. When she asks you if you have wrinkles, you have to lie firmly and loudly. He said, "No, well, the dumplings are so cute and they will never have wrinkles." You also need to be gentle and considerate enough. I won't go into details about this. You should have a brain. Then even if you are very powerful, occasionally you have to show vulnerability and childishness. When you are as helpless as a child, the maternal nature of Dumpling is it will overflow, and taking care of you will give you a sense of accomplishment. She looks cold, you wouldn't really think that her personality is cold, she just has no words. The bald eagle walked on top of the container and spread its wings. You have to tolerate her unreasonable troubles and her coquettishness. I was wrong again. Dumpling will never be unreasonable. Then you have to be humorous enough and a little bit rogue. Dumpling is not willing. You have to be shameless and get close to her. You have to be calm and calm, you can look her in the eyes and say firmly, "I love you." Finally, you have to be loyal and only love Dumpling. Bald eagle looked around and found that many people were looking at him. You are allowed to have a few more wives, but not too many. Finally, it pecked its feathers and suddenly thought of a big problem. It said, "Wait a minute, you have to give Dumpling a surprise. Take responsibility. I shouldn't have to say this kind of thing. You should be prepared yourself." "What? Rings, dresses and weddings? Saratoga doesn't want multiple competitors, you are selling your daughter to pimp. Did you ask for your opinion on the dumplings?" Yes. The bald eagle hesitated, then stretched out its wings and patted Sugu on the shoulder. Then, "At least you have to hug Dumpling when she comes back. I hate you very much, but she likes you, and there's nothing I can do about it." Lexington said from the side, "This is okay." The bald eagle screams, "Sure. It's not good. Must." Before long, a small black dot was seen on the sea in the distance. "They are coming," the bald eagle said and flew out very fast. York City landed first, followed by Sugu, who saw the Essex landing behind. She has long white hair and a cold expression due to her lack of mouth. "I was wearing tight clothes, and of course I didn't wear long sleeves in the summer. The body is very good, the skin is thin and the filling is big." There were a lot of people at the pier at first, but Belmacan had already shouted that not so many people would make Dumpling feel shy, so he left a lot. "Essex. Admiral, you are back." Essex lowered his head and spoke softly. The voice of the bald eagle rang out, as promised, "Hurry up, hurry up, hurry up." Taking a deep breath, Sugu finally reached out and hugged Essex. "What's the situation? What to do?" Essex felt the embrace and was momentarily overwhelmed. Saratoga hummed beside her. She saw a blush on Essex's face and whispered, "The dumplings are about to become steamed dumplings." Seeing Essex's face getting redder and redder, like an apple, the steamed dumplings have turned into fried dumplings. Finally, she pouted, "You won't push it away? You're still so close. It's not fried dumplings. You've become pot stickers." Looking for the Lost Ship Girl. Author, Hai-De Rong Yan. Chapter 661. Dumpling. Essex returned to the town hall, gave everyone a good hug and took everyone back to the office. On the way, York City reached out to ask for a reward, so Sugu told her lovingly, "Hurry and return the hero machine, everyone can't wait. Among them is your sister Bumblebee, who has been clamoring for the B-25 bomber for days. Resources also need to be returned to the warehouse, and reports need to be written. Of course, I have to thank the second wife, CV-16, for finding Essex. Was all thanks to her. Although it is not stated explicitly, as long as you pay a little attention, you can hear it, and it means that rewards can be offered." Then CV-16 just said that this is what everyone should do, and then gave his sister Essex a deep look, asking the admiral to take good care of her sister. At that time, Sugu wanted to say, "Hey, where did you hear the bad rumors? I treat the ship girl very well." Back in the office, as the admiral, I must understand the situation from Essex's mouth. It was a bit quite unpleasant. Essex didn't say a few words, and the bald eagle was rushing to answer the questions. He even asked himself, who wants to hear the arrogant male voice? I really don't know how Essex can stand such a chatty hawk. Instead, he would make soup for himself. This is a common thought among those around him who join in the fun. In short, Essex has been staying at the garrison for several days. She is very cute, everyone likes her pretty face, fleshy figure, and personality, and Sugu is no exception. The only minus point in the end is the chatty bald eagle. Sugu was already tired of bald eagles. Essex looks aloof, but actually has a cutesy personality that is easily shy, so of course he needs to talk well. In the original conversation between two people, there would always be a chatty hawk interrupting frantically and irritably. I knew the Essex's bald eagle's special ability from the academy. It is said that the admirals who married Essex complained that it was better to marry a bald eagle than an Essex. When I wanted to say something sweet, an eagle stood beside me and interrupted. He was clearly intelligent and had no sense of being a light bulb. Sugu didn't believe it in the past. After all, the silent girl who played the game at the beginning only arranged the secretaryship until he was in favor, but now he finally believes it. It was a bit gratifying at first, after all, the crazy assists. When the relationship with Essex improved, the bald eagle became like the kind of parents who are really unwilling to the cabbage they have grown for so long is going to be overtaken by pigs, and then insist on competing with their daughter's husband. I have repeatedly emphasized that I am my daughter's favorite person, and you are nothing. Just curious, when he saw the clothes drying rack placed by the wall in Essex's room, Sugu asked casually. "This is used as a bird stand for bear," came the answer from Essex. However, as soon as he said this, he immediately attracted the ridicule of the bald eagle. "You don't think I live outside, do you? Of course I have to live in the same room as Dumpling. After all, I am her best friend. Only me, only I can do it, you are just her admiral. We are in the morning watching the morning sun together and the sunset in the evening, she and I have never been separated since we woke up together. Feel free to be jealous, but unfortunately there is no use in being jealous. Huh. Even if you are married to Dumpling, I will still be Dumpling's closest partner and will never be separated." In fact, it wasn't just Sugu who was quite fed up with the bald eagle. There were quite a few people in the garrison who wanted to use it to make soup, including Lexington. Back then, she was responsible for educating CV-16 in the garrison. Admiralty and home economics education were essential, and she had not forgotten how to operate a carrier-based aircraft. However, since Bald Eagle returned to the garrison, CV-16, the junior and sister he usually admired, was actually taken away. Not only did Mr. Belmachan say it all the time, although it was rare, but occasionally there was a sentence or two, Mr. Belmachan said it, and Mr. Belmachan said it again. You can't get angry with CV-16, you can only get upset with the bald eagle. If there was one thing that made everyone outraged, it was just one thing. Although bald eagles stay with Essex all day long, they occasionally like to soar in the sky. Just like I met CV-16 originally, I just happened to meet him while flying around. The eyesight of an eagle is inherently good, and it is an unusual creature. It can see clearly even from high in the sky when looking down at the ground. Normally, everyone may see something, but they won't talk nonsense. Just as Leipzig has collected many taboo photos, it is just a collection. Lexington knew everything that happened in the garrison, but she would not speak casually. Only the bald eagle is chatty and talkative, so something unexpected happens. The bald eagle stood chattering in the cafe. No one was bored this time, and many people gathered around and listened with great interest. I was soaring in the sky, patrolling my territory. You must not know what I saw. Outside the town hall, I saw the Admiral and Helena walking, and then they ran into the woods. When I came back after flying around seeing them coming out of the woods again, Helena's face was red, her hair and clothes were messy. I won't tell them what happened to them, you can guess for yourself. Anyway, I saw them sitting on the rocks again, with the Admiral holding them. Looking at the sea with Helena. If you don't rub your breasts, it would be quite romantic. What is this? Facing the sea, spring flowers are blooming. London's face was full of excitement, this kind of gossip was enough. Guam was quite direct, snapping his fingers, can't, add chicken legs to Bell McCann. Continue. Guangrong complains slightly, they are husband and wife, Helena is the wedding ship, it's no big deal. The bald eagle became angry, Helena, let's not talk about it. You must not know about counterattack. I saw counterattack sweeping the floor in the corridor with a broom. The Admiral walked over and the two people stood there talking. I couldn't hear the Admiral. What, but when he saw the counterattack, his face suddenly turned red. He reached out and patted the Admiral, and then the Admiral took the counterattack's hand. Then the wall clicked, and then they entered the warehouse. They were quite vigilant, but it was a pity that they didn't notice me. In the sky. Someone said, I have long discovered that Admiral and counterattack are having an affair with Admiral. I don't know how much embellishment was involved, but Bald Eagle continued, I also saw Saratoga, Ruhi, Uxian, and San Diego. The sound of pounding on the table was heard, I won't listen to Gaga. I've seen too much. We have to listen to Santiago. I saw the Admiral pulling Santiago's tail. Santiago's face was red and he looked like a cat meowing in spring. As for Ziwihi, what happened to them? I saw the Admiral playing with those naughty destroyer kids, and then Ziwihi ran over. They said a few words and started to get ready. I thought they were going to fight, but I didn't know it was just a slapstick fight. In the end, Ziwihi pounced. Fell the Admiral and smiled happily. What a feast! Everyone praised the Bald Eagle and encouraged them to listen to it next time. Next, Helena enters the cafe and they start to boo. When Ziwihi entered the coffee shop, they laughed more and more happily, leaning forward and backward. Helena was not shy so easily. She just sat back on the wicker chair, put her obscene breasts on the back of the chair, twirled her fingers around her long hair with a disdainful smile, and made everyone laugh with just a few words. He instantly became alert. When it bites me, you don't care. When it bites Ziwihi, you don't care either. When it bites you, no one can speak for you. Just take care of yourself, each of you. One day. Guam, London, Glory, Bumblebee, you, San Juan, Prince Eugen, Leipzig and you, plus you, and finally you. It is fun to make noises, but no one can escape such a day. You must be prepared for danger in times of peace. Sugu didn't know what was going on. He happened to pass by the warehouse and saw many people making something there, which seemed to be bird cages. Leipzig, you brought the tools from their shop in Kaohsiung. In order to decorate and arrange the store, basically all the tools in the warehouse were taken away. Guam, bend these steel bars. Alaska, don't just watch the show, get started. The ship girl has unparalleled strength, and even bending steel bars is trivial. Leipzig pinched his chin, let me give you a suggestion. It's best to wrap barbed wire around the steel bars to make it safer. I'd like to make a suggestion too. Put a stick for a foothold and then we can electrify the cage from Atlanta. It's too cruel. At least install a transformer to lower the voltage. Use that kind of oversized lock and install an alarm device. After watching curiously for a long time, Sugu heard what happened from Helena's mouth. he suddenly became angry and could not do anything. He suggested, we should also cover it with black cloth, so that it will be a small dark room. Generally speaking, when people lose control of time, they will become very irritable, and birds are probably no exception. By the way, the cage should be hung in a quiet place, preferably without any sound at all. The next thing was Ruhi. She held her bow and went to find the bald eagle Belmacan. She seemed to be keenly aware of the danger. The bald eagle had already flown into the sky. However, compared to the CV-16, Ziwihi's ability to control carrier-based aircraft was much higher, and dozens of carrier-based aircraft suddenly flew into the sky. In fact, not only Ziwihi, but also many people took action, such as Kaga. York City also joined in the fun, but she just watched and joined in the fun, and was of no use at all. On the contrary, what she wanted to do before but was too timid to do was now done by Ruhi for her, which was to take the crow on a plane. In a short period of time, dozens of carrier-based aircraft directly forced the bald eagle to the ground. Of course, the bald eagle was thrown into the cage. After all, it couldn't go on like this, otherwise no one would be able to play with it. With a tacit understanding, Essex quickly learned of Belmacan's situation, and his anxious look made people jealous. She gently pulled Sugu's sleeve. "Admiral, please let Belle go. Whatever you want to do to the dumplings is fine." Essex was in tears and had no choice but to let the bald eagle go, but the agreement was 3 chapters long. The sky above the Toot Larry mansion and the 10-mile radius are all no-fly zones. If you want to fly, just go outside the Toot Larry mansion. You must make a loud cry during takeoff to let people know your existence, otherwise you will be shot down with bows and arrows. You will be responsible for the consequences. Not only that, but you will also be put in a small black cage for 10 days. Yang Yang mentioned a lot. Sugu originally wanted to say that gossiping were forbidden, but he guessed that it would be difficult for a talkative eagle to do so, so he just mentioned a few words in the end. The bald eagle Belmacan has been killed, and eating dumplings is an afterthought.